basically the lifetime of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And we were set up in 2000, which was the same year that the Millennium Development Goals were launched at the United Nations, which had a target then of 2015 with ambitious goals of halving global poverty, cutting child mortality by 2/3, a number of goals and ambitions which at the time, and I was at the UN at the time, helping launch those goals, were seen as impossible pipe dreams, conversation, thought, and at the time it was widely dismissed at the launch that this was just another example of the UN having high, lofty aspirations that couldn't possibly be met by reality. And the Gates Foundation was born into that moment with a vision that every person deserves the chance to a healthy and productive life, which is our core mission and vision, and working in global health and development. Flash forward, it is fair to say on most dimensions, certainly health, education, income, poverty eradication, reductions in child and maternal mortality, reductions in HIV, TB, malaria, areas we work on. The first 2 decades of the 21st century were arguably the greatest advancement for the greatest number of people across a greater range of geographies all over the world than there has ever been in human history. That was not widely understood at the time. It's uneven. I'm not claiming that every country in every part of the world did that, but there are, countries from all over the world did have that kind of progress. And one of our challenges as the Gates Foundation, we find that there was few people, especially in the global north, believed that progress had happened. We actually set up a report and a set of events we do at the UN General Assembly called Goalkeepers to try and highlight on a fact basis, here's how that does happen, why it's happened, here are the solutions, here are the interventions. And we still remain, as a foundation, deeply optimistic about the potential for continued long-term development progress now through the trajectory of the Sustainable Development Goals, which became the successors to the MDGs. That said, COVID clearly is a moment that there is a before and an after. We are in a fundamentally different context, geopolitically, economically, and certainly in terms of health and development trajectories. First, just the blunt fact that COVID itself stalled, as Renata already said, we've seen the first increases in extreme poverty globally that there have been in aggregate since the late 1990s. We've seen a flattening of first reductions in childhood vaccination rates, overall vaccination rates, the first increases in malaria after 2 decades of decline. All of that now get effect while having to deal with the COVID crisis itself, which was a huge impact. Then you layer onto that the economic challenges of declines and cuts in global aid, the UK being one example, but not alone on doing that. That the limited fiscal resources that most developing countries have had available to do, which have already now been largely exhausted in response to the COVID pandemic. And now some external shocks coming in, like the Ukraine crisis, when it has a knock-on effect on global food security in particular, prices of fertilizer and wheat. And I would argue that this is a very fragile moment for the world and for the development trajectory more broadly.